Good day, viewers. Today is another episode of Tomi Talks Legal. As you all know, my name is Tomi Daniel. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the like button and share generously with your audience. In our previous episode, we discussed a very sad and challenging story of a woman who was deceived by her husband to buy a property in the name of their expected child, the child to be expecting in faith. And unfortunately for her, the man was deceiving her. He already had children or a child outside wedlock. And the name in which they bought the property was in the name of that child, unknown to that woman. As a couple, what is the right way for you to acquire a property in Nigeria? Whether as a man with a wife, or the wife with a man, or the wife with the husband. So today I'm going to be putting us through a series of the steps you need to take, or what you need to avert your mind to when buying a property in Nigeria with your spouse. In the Nigerian system, we have three types of marriage. 1, the customary marriage. 2, marriage under the Islamic law. 3, marriage under the statutes, which is also known as the legal marriage, court marriage, as commonly known by the people. Now, the customary marriage does not permit totally a woman to acquire a property without the consent of her husband. Because under the customary marriage and the Islamic law, a woman married under such vehicles are considered subordinates to their husband. And upon the demise of the husband, or peradventure, a likely separation, this woman may not be entitled to anything that the husband owns. That is why most of the time people always advise, lawyers advise, parents advise that marriage under the act is preferable, because marriage under the act does not give room for polygamy. It's a one man, one woman kind of marriage. And peradventure, in the course of the marriage, an unfortunate incident happens that takes the life of the husband, or there is a cause for separation. The marriage under the statutes confers some rights and benefits on the woman. If in the course of the marriage, the man acquires properties, upon demise, the property automatically becomes that of the woman. And upon separation, this woman is entitled to equal share of the man's property. However, this is subject to the court's discretion and the fact that is placed before the courts. So now, as a woman married under the statutes, as a woman who did court marriage or went to the registry to have your marriage done, what are the rights and benefits that accrue to you? One of the rights and benefits that accrue to you is that once you have the financial capacity to buy a property, you are at liberty to, with or without major recourse to the consent of your spouse or your husband. Now, under the Nigerian law, it is normal, as a married couple to desire or to have a property together with your spouse. But in Nigeria, under the Land Use Act, it does not give recognition to Mr. and Mrs. The Land Use Act only recognizes individual beings. It doesn't recognize marriage. It recognizes individual beings or corporate beings, which means either you are Mr. Ajanoku Chukwuemeka or you are a company. And when I mean a company, I do not mean an enterprise. I do not mean a business name. I mean a company, which means a limited liability company. It is only under these two vehicles you will be able to purchase or own or sell or transact in realties or in real estates in Nigeria. Now, as a couple, what does this mean to you, or what does this tell you? It means that as a woman, you can decide to own property on your own once you have the financial capacity, whether you are married under the statutes. And if you are married under the customary law or the Islamic law, you would have to have a recourse to your spouse for their consent to purchase or own a property. Now, I want to give an escape route to spouses or to women when considering buying a property with their husband, whether you are married under the Act, or you're married under the customary law, or you are married under the Islamic law. Here are the things I want you to avert your mind to. 1. Make sure, as I said last week, that once you are putting up your finance or money for the purchase of a property with your spouse, ensure that there is an evidential proof of your financial contribution. Now, once there is an evidential proof, either by receipts or electronic transfers or bank instruments, ensure that there is an evidential proof. Now, when preparing the documents, ensure that your lawyer does not prepare documents in the name or in the umbrella of Mr. and Mrs. Ajanaku Chukwuemeka. Ensure that your name is well depicted on the documents, whatever documents that may be, either as Mr. Ajanaku Chukwuemeka and Mrs. Folashade Ajanaku Chukwuemeka. Ensure that your name is properly written in the documents. But there is a clause to this. A certificate of occupancy will not be given to you in the name of Mr. Ajanaku Chukwuemeka and Mrs. Folashade Chukwuemeka. So what do you do in this circumstance when only one individual can possess the certificate of the occupancy? These are your escape routes. 1. As a couple, you can decide to buy the property, register a company rather, and be the sole shareholders with your spouse, Mr. So and so owning 50% shares, Mrs. So and so owning 50% shares. Now, once that company has been incorporated, in the name of that company, you and your spouse can decide to both own a property. So once you are obtaining a certificate of occupancy for that property, it would carry the name of the company. And when there is a cost for that company or for that company to be unveiled, it would amount to you and your spouse alone. And the assets of that company will be divided equally to the extent of the shares owned by both parties. Now, what does this give to you? What benefit does this confer to you? Or what air does this clear? It clears the air of uncertainty, because no one knows tomorrow. No matter how much you are in love with your spouse, no matter how smooth things are going today, nobody knows the future. So for there not to be any form of ambiguity or confusion or leaving things to chance or at the discretion of the courts, this invariably secures your future. So in cases of unlikely circumstance, both parties know what is due to them accordingly without no form of argument. So what other ways can you also acquire or secure your interest in property when you are co-owning a property with your spouse? prepare a principal property settlement agreement. Now, what does this do? You will need your lawyer to prepare the documents. So let us assume you and your husband, or you and your spouse, or you and your wife, you have properties amounting to maybe like 10 different properties, immovable properties in places, or 10 different assets which could be not even immovable alone, which is real estate or landed properties. It could also transfer to immovable or movable properties. Now, in principal property settlement agreements, all the details of the properties will be stated. And once the details of those properties are stated, the terms and conditions of settlements will be stated therein. What is due to each other or each party or each person upon separation, upon an unlikely event, it will be stated there. So at the end of the day, all air that could cause ambiguity will be cleared. Parties would know their positions at every point in time. When there is a need for separation, no persons will be at the mercy of the other. We have had situations whereby a woman, was abandoned by the husband and is living in the property that belongs to the husband, and she's having fears, oh, this man can come today and throw me away, or what is going to happen if this man comes and says, no, I don't want you in my property again. Things like this would actually clear the air as regards ownership, or when parties want to go their separate ways. The parties already know what accrues to them. If you are in this situation, or you know anyone in this situation, kindly share this video with them. And for further questions, comments, because the peculiarity of your situation may not be open to us. But once you're able to contact us and share your situations with us, or tell us your questions or any ambiguities you may have in your mind, we will be willing to shed more light and create help for you. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel once again. Click on the like button and share generously with your audience as we meet on next week's episode. Thank you.